our customers for our sales process, where do we go? We have to remember, I write out this very sophisticated and complicated advanced find where I want to look for my customers or I want to look for my prospects, and then I realize, oh, you know what? I'm searching in my accounts. I need to be searching my leads. I have to go back and completely rewrite it. So we have a lot of interest in people using the accounts and the contacts. But I'm going to start using the leads. I'm going to transfer it over through the conversion process over to an account and contact, and then I'm going to talk about the opportunity. And as we go through this entire process, we can talk about the pros and cons of either one. So I'm going to come over to my inbox, and I'm going to scan through my inbox and look for what might be a possible lead. I've got an email here from Alex saying that it was great meeting me last Wednesday. I'd like to follow up on our conversation. So that would be a great lead. I might open this up, and I would click the Track and CRM button, and I'm going to set the regarding equal to a new lead. So I'm going to select Need and then New. So my lead form will open up, and it'll say New Lead. And I can go ahead and enter the information for Alex. And I can put his company name in there. And I can put any notes that I have about this lead. Met at lunch last week. After I type my note in, it's going to go ahead and save. And I'm going to talk about the notes and how they work a little bit, because when we go through the lead process and we look at the conversion process of notes, we actually lose our notes when we convert it over to a customer. And there's a reason for that, and we'll talk about that. I'm able to set and take a look at whether or not they want to receive any email from us. And I'm able to put in some of the SIC codes or industry that they might be associated with. So I know that he was working with the insurance industry, and I can see that he came in. I met him at a trade show last week. All of this other information I can fill out. So I'll go ahead and hit Save and Close. And I select my Alex. And now I've gone ahead and associated. So directly from my inbox, I've created a new lead. I've called it my Alex lead. And you can see the Track and CRM, and it shows at the top CRM regarding Alex. So I'll go ahead and close that. I'm done. I can go ahead and delete this from my inbox if I want. I'm going to come over to my leads. And my leads are going to open up, and I'm going to be able to do a search for all the leads that I have in the system. I know that when I put this lead in, I can have a number of workflows that fire. Let me open up this lead, and I can look at the history associated with this lead. And there's the email activity that came in. So like I said, I can delete it from my inbox because I know it's part of the history for this guy right here. I am seeing that I made a mistake when I set this up because I put his last name, Steinberg. There we go. So I've just gone ahead and updated my lead. So one of the things that I really like to do when I talk about workflows or I talk about revenue is I like to put a lot of notes down. Here's the notes that I had. I've got the note created by. I can put an activity, and here's an activity that fired that we already have defined. And so I'm going to go and write a workflow later that we're going to talk about the opportunity. But when I went ahead and created this lead, what it did is it started a lead qualification process in the background. And it created an automatic activity, and you can see it's a phone call activity, and it set the due date in the future. So here it is, and it's saying I need to make an outgoing phone call to Alex. It assigned it to me. I'm the system administrator, and it automatically set the date. I think it's a week from today to go ahead and make this phone call, so that I can see all I did was track this inbound email that I had from my history, and it automatically created an activity for me. So I've got in some sales process for my lead management. There is a downside to working with the leads in addition to the notes like I talked about when they transferred over. I'll show what that means. I cannot track a lead with more than one individual working for the company. So this is a really big downfall that people have. We can actually do that if we go in and we change some of the customizations and the relations, but the out-of-the-box configuration has a single individual and a single company. So I can't go in and say, well, this is the Acme company, and I've got Alex, but I've also got Susan that works for the Acme company. I have to go in and create a new one, and that becomes a lot of records, and it's difficult to deal with. But let's say I've gone through, I've created my lead, I've done some interaction with them, and I want to convert the lead. So I'm going to make them a customer. They said, we want to do business with you. So by clicking the Convert Lead button, it opens up the Convert Lead dialog box, and it gives me the option to qualify and convert this lead or to disqualify this lead. So I can say I've lost it, I can't contact it, no longer interested, whatever I need to do. Any of these events will trigger workflow that I can define later. So on any disqualification of a lead, I can go through and I can say disqualified. Let's put them in the newsletter. Let's keep them in a nurture pile. We want to constantly touch back to them. I think that most organizations are similar to ours in the sense that even a lost opportunity may become a potential opportunity in the future. So it's always a good idea to keep track of them, and the system will do that for us. In this case, I'm going to qualify the lead. I'm going to select Create a New Account, create a new contact, create an opportunity, and open all of these new records. So there's a little bit of the Salesforce automation process there that we just talked about. As it goes through this process, what it'll do is it'll take all of the information from here. It's going to go ahead and create the new records and the new fields for me, and then allow me to work directly with the account, the opportunity, and the contact from it. Once it creates and converts over to an account and to a contact, I can create new individuals that work for that organization. So this was a limitation that I talked about with the lead before. I can only have one individual working for an organization, but now I can have more because I've created the account and the contact. So here is my lead. You can see that the fields are all grayed out. I can't do anything with my lead because it's been qualified. Status at the bottom shows qualified. If I go over to my notes, they're here. I can continue to edit them even though it is closed. I'm going to go ahead and close this out. And here's my new opportunity that's opened up. Here's my contact, and here's my account. So I'm going to start at the account level, and I'm going to close all of these other records, and I'm going to maximize the screen so that we can really take some time and drill into what it means to work with the account. A lot of organizations and customers come through, and they rename the word account, and they call it customer. And that's a perfectly valid renaming scheme. If I take a look at what I see on the screen, I've got the information that transferred over. Now, obviously, I didn't complete this lead form all the way. If I had, I would have transferred over all of the information. I would show all the address information. I wouldn't have to repopulate that. If I look down the details here, I'm able to look at any pending activities that I have, which is the phone call that transferred over. I'm able to look at any history. I don't have history here until I click All. And then it shows up, and this is the history that was on the lead form. So I'm able to create a lead form. I'm able to put all the history, all of the future activities for it, associate it, and it's going to transfer over through my automation process of conversion, and I'll be able to see the history for it. Now, if I come back and I look at the notes, I'm not going to see any notes. And we get a lot of questions or comments about why did Microsoft Dynamics CRM design this way? Because I know that I put a note in there. I know I have information about Alex. Why isn't it there? And I can only say that it's a feature. And I know that when most people hear that, they sort of chuckle because a feature in Microsoft terms means bug. But it's not really a bug. It's designed to work that way. And the reason it's designed that way is that you can always drill back in by going to the original lead and clicking this button here. So I can see the original lead. I can click Alex Nyberg, and I can open up, and this is going to open up my lead, and I'll see my notes there. So it gives you the ability to go back and look at your notes, but once it's set up as a customer or account, it's forward-thinking, and it says we want to enter new notes going forward because we always have our old lead notes as part of the record and association of this. There is a mechanism and there is a means to be able to tie and take all of the notes that are part of the lead and transfer them over to the notes during this conversion process, but that's not an out-of-the-box configuration. It requires a little bit of setup and work to do. So let's take a look at the account or the customer form that I'm looking at. I can see the information about it. I can go down and I can look at the details about it. You can see that the industry transferred over. If I put in the SIC code, it would have transferred over. And I can put a territory assignment in there. And the territory assignment, I've got on the screen, I've got Asia, Europe, and I mean, I cover a pretty big territory if I've got Asia and Europe in here. But it doesn't even have to be that big. It could be the north part of town. It could be the south part of town. It could be, by zip code. It can do a number of different things. And organizations that use CRM on a national level really benefit from this because territory assignment allows them to go in and do segmentation on their customers based on territory. And then that rolls up the sales manager and up the stream that way. But we can also do it, like I said, on a more regional or local level. I'll just go ahead and set this for the West region. All right. And I've got my administration. So I've got the owner of this record, which is me. We talked about the originating lead across the top. I've got credit limit, payment terms, credit hold, and price list. And that's the billing information. And this information is waiting to be filled out. I'm going to talk about this a little bit when I talk about the quotes, orders, and invoices here shortly. But this is typically tied into an ERP system. And this is where this information comes from and lives. We can manage it in here, but organizations always have an ERP system. And to put the information in here to say what their credit limit is, if I were to put in $15,000, I have just created a disassociated record of my customer and my ERP system because maybe their credit limit will get increased in the ERP or maybe it will get decreased in the ERP. We're not going to see that reflected in the CRM unless we're fully synchronized. And that's something that we're going to want to talk about when we look at the quotes, orders, and invoices.